Hello, chess lovers. We are going to be looking at the game from round 7 of Serbia Open between Sanal Vahap from Turkey and Nihal Sarin, the young Indian chess star. Let's start right in. So Sanal was white and Nihal with black replied with a French defense. And we have the advanced variation or the Nimzovich variation or the Paulsen variation, whatever you want to call it. c5, c3, knight c6, so black puts pressure on the d4 pawn, white defense with knight f3, queen b6. This is all theory, this is basic stuff. Whoever plays French defense or against it, he knows this. And after bishop d3, we have bishop d7. Of course, you cannot take on d4 because it's a trap. After takes, the queen is undefended, and with bishop d3, bishop b5, we discover the attack on the queen, while at the same time giving check. Black is lost. So that's why black played bishop d7 to cover this diagonal. So this will not be a check anymore, and that means the d4 pawn is actually hanging. And here white can protect the pawn by removing the bishop, or he can sacrifice a pawn in several ways. There is an old way and a new way, and actually Sanal went for the new way, castles kingside. I played myself like this once. I won a game in like 20 moves or something, so it's a pretty solid system if it worked for me. And Carlsen beat Pentala Hari Krishna in also very decisive manner. Okay, so we have cd4, and now we cannot really take because there is a bishop here, so the trick doesn't work. So we have to sacrifice a pawn, and we have two ways to do it. One is to capture here and give a pawn like that, and the other is what Sanal did just by playing rook e1. So what's the idea of this move? The idea is that if black takes on c3, we get a square for our knight c3. If we go back in this position, there is a pawn there, so white cannot develop. But if black takes that pawn, then we develop the knight on an active square with some aggressive intentions, sometimes even here, depends what's happening. It can be possible in some tactical fights. So that's why usually black doesn't recapture immediately. Knight g7, okay, not a bad move. And here we have a computer move. So this is obviously a computer prep by white, because when I checked this position with an engine, this was the best move. And if I had played this game, I would never play that move. So I would prefer a developer move like this or like this. Anyway, after h4, Nihal Sarin plays a very interesting move, h6. So I told you that I played the game against a 2200 player, federated, in a similar variation. Actually, same variation, but I didn't go for h4. What happened there, in my game, at one point, I put my knight here, and because I did this kind of business, I actually sacrificed the bishop here and destroyed the guy. So that's why this move, h6, is so good, because it covers this square from this knight. So any tricks like that will be very hard to achieve. But anyway, white has other trumps, so he can still count on compensation. So he plays h5, and now this knight is limited. He cannot go here, and here is also not so good. Sometimes it can be captured or chased away, depending on the situation. So black played a6, a good move, covering the b5 square, because sometimes that's important in the future. Not right now, but in the future. Also, sometimes black can do something like this and totally control this square so that white doesn't have any break like this, which might be possible. Actually, that's what happened in my game, which I'm not going to show you today. But anyway, here we have a strange move. And I believe that this guy, he's a grandmaster, but I believe that he doesn't have much experience in this position, because I would never play this. So he played knight a3. Why do you go there, man? Why? What's the point? Have you seen games from other players in this position? So we all know, whoever played this ever knows that the plan is to go here. Why? You want to go here, force the black to take, and then chase this queen. Also, sometimes you want to support this square so that you can go c4. For example, dc3, bc3, knight c8, let's say, to open up the bishop, rook b1, queen c7, and now we can change planes. So we can go here, or the mentioned idea, c4, because you have a knight here that supports it. Also, if you take with the bishop, knight can go here, very aggressive ideas. So this is all logical, at least to me. I mean, I played the tournament game. I know I'm bragging, but I beat the 2200 player in 20 something moves, so I believe I know something about this position. So okay, let's go back. So he played knight a3. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. He should go here. I strongly believe in that. Okay, so now look at this. Black was waiting for this capture not to make it as long as there was a knight here, because then the knight would have a good square. Now the knight jumped there, so it doesn't control c3, so we can take, because there is no knight c3, so you can take, we have to take with the pawn. So that's the downside of developing the knight here. You can say the same thing for knight here, but that's different, because when knight is on d2, it's not attacked by a bishop in the future, and it has some options like this or supporting this truss. Anyway, knight c8 was played, attacking the knight so that white cannot easily develop this guy. So that's why knight c2 happened. Okay, so this is it's not bad, but it has to be played. But the whole setup of white now is less than optimal. But okay, there are some ideas like this. Let's see. Queen c7, putting pressure here. So white develops, bishop f4, and we have knight b6. And here, I mean, you need, if you did all this funky business with your knight, go to the center, man. Go to d4. What are you waiting for? You know, if black takes, just take with the pawn. Okay, he has an extra pawn, but you have c file or b file. You have a good center, and black king is still in the center. So why not play like this? Or, for example, go here. Go here. Place the rook against the queen. That's always good, almost always. Instead of that, Sanal played rook b1, which is a good move in many variations of this opening line, but not here. What are you doing there? I don't see it. I don't see what he is doing, because here black can easily achieve b5. Watch what happened. Knight a4, preparing b5, attacking here. Queen d2, defense, and now b5 was a good move. Knight a5, looking at this square, also preparing b5 was a good move. But Nihal Sarin, very strong player, but probably doesn't have much experience in this position. He chose knight c5. It's also a good move, but not as good as the other moves mentioned. It has one point. If white wants to preserve this bishop, for example, bishop f1, then the bishop is no longer controlling this square, so knight e4 comes with the tempo, and this is a monster knight. So that's why white didn't bother removing the bishop, but instead played knight e3, and now he's ready if black doesn't want to capture, and he didn't do so. So after queen a5, now the bishop can retreat. And here, okay, you let the white preserve the bishop, but now Nihal Sarin should have played b5. Why b5? The point is, this is the only pawn with which white can start to open up things in the center. And if you put two guys on b5 and d5, they are really controlling this square. So this is never going to happen. So white would have to somehow sacrifice a piece or organize something on the king side, but very hard to do that. So after b5, I think white would be strategically lost. But instead of that, Nihal Sarin castled kingside. And now it's different because you put king there, your king there, so it can be attacked along the b file. So a move like rook b2 would be a very nice start of the attack, because now there is a difference. If you play b5, later on there will be ideas like this, because there is a black king behind these lines. So when the king was on e8, this didn't make much sense, but now there is a king there, so not so clear. But Sanal missed his chance. He played knight d4 and the position transformed. After knight d4, queen d4, bishop c6, protecting here. Now all of this business doesn't make any more sense, because this spot is very well covered. The bishop got a good square. It was blocked by a knight, but now it has a good square from where these pawn and this bishop, they protect each other. So the position completely changed. Now white has no compensation, honestly. Rook ec1, of course, in the future he wants to do this, but let's see. First, knight d7. Why knight d7? Knight was here, so the bishop couldn't get there. Now, after the knight retreated, the bishop can get to c5. After c4, bishop c5 with a tempo attacking the queen. Queen moved to a1, and now d4. So what's going on? This bishop is a monster. It defends the king and attacks white's king, which will be decisive later. This bishop is no worse. It protects this pawn, and also it looks at white's king. Let's see. Here, white is completely lost, but he tried to, to mud the waters with knight d5, and here it was possible just to capture. You capture. There is nothing. You can pin here with some ideas like this, but what? Rook h8, the idea is to block this diagonal and have two monster bishops against white's rook. So that would be just a disaster. But for some reason, Nihal didn't take. He went for a safer option. So his plan is to evacuate his king all the way to the corner so that he doesn't have to worry. After rook d1, he finally took. Now we have a discovered check. So white is not losing a piece, but he is strategically losing his good position. After king a8, the king is pretty safe here. And after c d5, bishop d5, e d7, rook d7, what happened? Black is up 2 pawns. His king is pretty safe because it's defended by all these pieces. Yeah, they all defend the king, and at the same time, these pieces are attacking white, or they can do so, something like that, and the rook can activate like this. So this is just a lost position. Bishop f5 followed, attacking the rook, but the rook sidestepped the attack, and now after a4 we had centralizing the other rook, controlling the e file. And look at the difference. I mean, these two bishops and these two bishops, they cannot be compared, because these guys, the black guys, they are actually attacking. Oops, sorry, not like that, like this. And the white bishops, they are attacking, but they are misfiring a little bit. We have rook c1, and now bishop c6, opening up the queen. Sorry. And we had bishop g4, and now watch out, these two bishops, if they were to be attacked along the 4th rank, it could cause some trouble. You don't want to do it immediately. You would like to do it with the queen. Imagine if this queen could get here. Then that would be a pretty unpleasant attack on white's bishop. So that's why d3 happened, to open the 4th rank. And after rook d3, we have queen b4. This is what I mentioned, attacking two bishops. If you move one, Black will capture the other one, so black has to defend the first one. But now queen e4, because these squares have been weakened, so you are threatening a checkmate here or here. You have to block. Also the rook is hanging, so rook f3, and now a nice shot, bishop f2. If white takes, we just go in, check, take, take, take. We are an exchange up. On the next move, we'll go here, and how will you stop queen g2? There is no way. So that's why white didn't capture. Instead, he played king h2. But now black just retreated. His idea is to give check and to open up this bishop to capture the rook. So that's why queen a3 followed, defending the rook, but now f5. So the bishop is attacked. If it moves, we can just capture because we have two attackers and white has only one defender. So black played rook c6, and after fg4, what happens? One pawn is attacking one of white's rooks, other pawn is attacking another of white's rooks. So you can save one rook, but you can't save them both. So this was the end of the game. At this position, Sanal resigned, and Nihal Sarin, with this victory, came into sharing the first place with, I think Fedoseev is the other guy. So two grandmasters are sharing the first position after round 7. Very impressive play by Nihal Sarin, but also not so impressive play by white, because it seems that he prepared this variation just for this game, but it seems that he didn't understand it very well. I know he's a stronger player than me, but I honestly believe that he didn't understand what he should have done. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, and see you in the next video. Bye!